It's me again. Right. Today's subject is going to be on the area of loss. Now, there isn't a person watching this video or amongst us who hasn't suffered loss. The loss of a loved one, a beloved pet, a child, a relative, and we hurt. Our hearts ache with sorrow, the emptiness that lies there. We're bereft with grief. We miss this person so much. We want them back in our lives. We want answers. These answers we want immediately. I hurt too. Why I decided to talk today about loss and connecting with the deceased. Well, I should say they're not really deceased. They're in the door mark somewhere. They've gone through that door, and I'll come to that later on. Now, the pain, the tears, whether it's the loss of an unborn child, a parent, anything that is close to you for whom you hold greatly in your heart, then this video is to help you try to understand a bit more about how I see loss and bereavement, right? It is my views expressed through my experience. It's only my views and what I have gathered through the losses in my own life. Now, why I decided today to do this is because in the last 2 weeks, I've heard of 10 losses. And I've had many messages from you, lovely viewers, asking me to talk about this subject. And I'm going to talk about it in a way in which I hope to help you connect with your loved ones. Because I don't believe there is a death. What I think carries on is consciousness through and onto another plane. Now, the first thing many people do when we lose someone we love is run to a medium. Run to a medium because we want answers. This I don't recommend immediately, and I'll tell you why. Because those that have left us need time to adjust. We want immediate answers. We live in a world where we can send a message with the blink of an eye, right? We have the internet, we've got access to all sorts, we've got Messenger, we can speak to somebody across the world, and we live in a very impatient society. And time is man-made, but in spirit world, our time is of no consequence at all. Not at all. It is irrelevant, right? So I don't recommend going to see a medium, right? I recommend a period of grief. And who is it to say how long that grief will last? We don't know, right? Now, I'm going to speak about ways in which I believe and I use and I advise and I instruct, because I'm a very down-to-earth person, that you don't need to spend hundreds of pounds going out on chasing mediums, which I call fortune telleritis. It's a medical term I made up, which is not yet in the medical dictionaries, but which people suffer from. And that basically means they will go to every single medium and clairvoyant until they hear what they want to hear. Don't waste your money. Don't do that, right? Our loved ones grieve for us too, right? Now, the best way to connect with your loved ones or to open yourself up is, for me, start simple. You can start by holding a picture of that loved one in your mind. There will be days when you'll be in a heap on your knees, grieving for the loss. I've been there. I'm no stranger to grief. And there'll be days when you're okay, but then all of a sudden it'll hit you like a wave. Now, an easy and something that links into an earlier subject is dreams, right? We can connect with our loved ones through dreams far easier. I suggest starting by leaving a piece of paper by your bed, talking to your loved ones as though they were here in the present tense, because believe me, they hear you. They hear you, they see you, they watch you, they still love you, right? Even if it's a dog. A dog is just the same as a human. Animals are pure love without all the faults that us humans have, if you like. So you can start with a piece of paper by your bed and talking to your loved one before you go to sleep at night, asking them things and asking them to come through your dreams. And write down, if you have a dream, everything you can remember about that dream and if your loved one was in it and what they said. And as I've mentioned before, they speak through thought, not with their lips. Now, you may do this and get no response and say, oh, this isn't going to work. You're only starting out. Put pictures everywhere of that loved one. Carry a little momentum of them in your purse. Wear something of theirs. Keep them close. Perhaps it's an old jumper or a nightshirt. Wear it in bed and think of them. Spirit leaves signs, and it's not always the way that we think they should leave signs. And for everybody, it's different. Now, you often hear people say that if you find a white feather, it's an angel, your guardian angel. That is true for some people. Yes, it is. Now, in my house, you will find absolutely thousands of feathers. Now, that doesn't mean my house is full of angels. What it means is I have feather pillows and feather bedding, hence the feathers. It's not the angels. For me, a very, very strong sign of spirit is the presence of butterflies. Butterflies, a very, very powerful symbol of spirit. And for me, personally, even when a loved one is around, when perhaps a flower or a plant they loved blooms in an unexpected time of the year, they're sending you a little message, right? It can be the messages that will come through in the dreams. Somebody you will bump into will say something. They will get a message to you. There will be signs. And for everyone, that sign could be something. It could be the smell of certain tobacco smoke. It could be a certain plant, subject that they liked, or you'll meet someone who will speak in reference to something that was very special to them. You think, that's a bit odd. Well, it isn't odd. It is their way of trying to let you know. It's just that our ears are closed and we've got so much going on around. You think about your day. What is in that day? The noise of the traffic, the internet, mobile phones, the chaos, the sounds of the buses, sirens. So we're not actually listening, right? Now, you can get books and go out and see a medium, go to a spiritualist church. I'm not a big fan of spiritualist churches, to be honest with you, because I'm not a fan of the quality of mediumship that I have seen. That's not to say that they're not good, right? But as you begin to make yourself more aware, spirit will come closer. You'll feel them. You'll sense them. You will begin to notice different things in your life. And they grieve, as I say, for us too. Now, I'm going to recommend a couple of books. I could recommend 100 books, right? But I'm going to recommend ones if you've experienced loss or you're going to experience loss. And what I mean by that, you're living with someone who is going to pass, right? And I'm speaking very serious here, right? I am not making these videos for any profit, gain, or getting you to spend any money, right? These are only my views, right? And like I've stated on previous occasions, you do not need to spend a load of money on ridiculous paraphernalia, because fundamentally everything to do with the clairvoyance mediumship is based on love. And that's it. Now, very often, and I've been privy to one of these, which was very lovely. You can also have phone calls from the dead. And that is very, very interesting. There's a lot on that. It happened to me when I was pregnant. 17 years ago, I was pregnant and I had a dream. And the phone rang and I went downstairs and I answered the phone. And it was my father who'd passed many years previous. And in the dream and in the conversation, he addressed me by the name that he always addressed me by. And he told me he was delighted about my baby. And he told me the sex of the baby and how things would be. and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, the next day, my sister phoned me from another country, and she said to me, I'm sending you over some clothes of my daughter for the baby. And I said to her, don't bother, I'm having a boy. She said, how do you know? And I said, because Dad phoned last night and told me. And he was absolutely correct. And that boy is now 17 years old. And as you know, he's my son, Phineas. That was a telephone call from the dead. It was absolutely beautiful. And that does not mean to say that you also can't be contacted by phone from the dead, because they will find a way, right? Now, the thing is, when you are in the depths of despair, when you just lost somebody, you reach and you want hope, you'll grasp at straws, right? I was once told, well, in my life, right, when I see clairvoyantly, I see pictures, and time and distance is of irrelevance to me. I've dealt with suicides, hangings, murders, and they are very, very, very hard to deal with, to read as a medium. I see very fast, I see in pictures, and I can hear, and distance is of no consequence to me, right? But whenever I have had a reading, I was told from a very early age that it is a dark world, and in this dark world people will search for the light, and that I was to be that light for them. But I was also told that my life doing this was going to be extremely hard. I never had a reading ever where it was going to be wonderful. I was always told that this was my destiny and I didn't have a choice. So I've long since accepted that. And to be honest with you, I don't recommend going to mediums and clairvoyance all the time, right? Certain times, yes. I've probably had 4 readings in my entire life, and I'm 54 now, okay? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the more you start thinking and opening up, whether you start burning a candle, reading up on the subject, becoming more aware, even wearing a colour more conducive to attracting love and companionship and your loved ones back into your life, the more you will begin to pick up the signs. Turn off the 21st century for a while. That's a good one. Turn off and just think. Meditate if you like. You don't have to shave your head and go and sit in a cave or wear robes and also dress all fancy. Now, my attire is my art. I love to express myself through colour. This is my art. This is the way I am. And I'm going to talk to you about an amazing book I read many years ago. And it had a very good impact upon my life. And I'm going to suggest it to you if you can get hold of it, right? I often quote from it because there's a beautiful passage in it. And it's written by the late Michael Bentine. And the book is called The Door Marked Summer. I have a copy of it here. It's out of print now. Right, Michael Bentine, The Door Marked Summer. Now, Michael Bentine wasn't famous for his mediumship, but he was a medium. And he had the same gift as I have, right? And it's a curse in that Michael Bentine foresaw the death of his own son. That's all I'll say. But if you can get a copy of it, please try and get one. Because in it, he speaks about his life, about his gift, about how he saw things, and it resonated very, very strongly with me, right? But also, he will explain about fraudulent mediums, and there are many out there, and I'm going to have a damn good go at them when I get a chance, right? Now, that's an excellent book. You'll get it on eBay used because it's out of print. I've actually bought it twice because I've lent it out once and didn't get it back. But that's one I highly recommend, even though it's very, very old. Another one, which at the moment is is by Anita Moujani. Now, Anita Moujani, right, was riddled with cancer and in intensive care and was going to die. They were not going to resuscitate her because she had so much cancer in her body. But she didn't die. She came back. And when she came back, she recounted what happened, where she went to heaven. She saw everything around here and she wrote it all down, and it's in a book. And she's now actually touring the UK. Anita Mujani, right? You can actually, if you don't want to spend any money, Google her on YouTube. Then another one which I think you will find very helpful if you're grieving is Eben Alexander, Proof of Heaven. He's a neurosurgeon who also went to heaven through, he was in intensive care with a very severe form of meningitis. Read his book, and he also is on YouTube talking, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your own room. Those are 3 books that I highly recommend, okay? Now, as I do these little segments, the time is going too fast. I'm getting question after question after question. And what I'm trying to do is follow what it is the subject should be about each week. And I'm trying to squeeze in. Some of these things will have to be done in 2 sections because the 20 minutes isn't long enough. And plus, I don't want you to get bored, right? Start opening yourself up. Write a little prayer each night. Ask for the guidance. Pray for your loved ones and start thinking about them more and more. Put little pictures on your fridge, in your bag, in your purse, on your car dashboard. Pray to whoever your God is, and you will begin to open yourself up. But you're not going to get the signs if you've got the television there and the internet going, teenagers going on, cars. You're not open to it. You can even, there are 1,000 meditations even on YouTube. You can just Google a meditation for 20 minutes for opening yourself up to receive messages from those that have passed on. And remember, love never dies. You may be in bed and you will feel the presence of your deceased pet, because animals too go on to the door marked summer, right? And you'll feel them lie on the bed. You'll feel them pairing if it's a cat, whatever that animal was, or whoever you've loved, you will feel them round once you start to open up. But so often we're closed off. Now, what I'm going to read to you is what's written on the back of the Michael Bentine book. And I often use these words because they absolutely blew me away. Bear with me, right? And they are: in my life, I have found myself facing many doors. Sometimes I've opened only to have them shut in terror. Others have opened for me, and I have seen so much sorrow and so much pain. Some I have never yet had the courage to open. But there is one, when it opens, spills a great blaze of golden light into my life. Beyond it, I can see the smiling faces of all the people that I love, who have preceded me through the door. This is my favourite, and it is the door marked summer. And I think that sums up the spiritual world to a T. I could not put it any better. Now, I'm going to finish on one last note, which I often reference people, and a person I am honoured to reference. None of us here have not been touched by cancer. And if you've lost or are living with someone who is going to pass from cancer, I strongly recommend you read all of Dr. Bernie Siegel's books. Watch him on YouTube, listen to his talks. I went on one workshop in my life, one. Why did I go on one? Because I only ever needed one. I'm not a workshop junkie. Because when I went on his workshop, he changed my life. He will change your life too. Read his works, because Love, Medicine and Miracles changed my life many, many years ago. And I use him to this day. And without him, I wouldn't have gotten through the deaths and sorrow and pain that I have faced. I will talk in another video about ghosts and hauntings, but this one today was just to be about personal loss. Do message me with your questions. I will try to answer you. It may take a few days, it may not. I'll do my best. But those 3 books, and also you can go on and Google those people I've mentioned, and that way you don't have to spend a penny, because remember, I don't do this for profit nor gain. It's to help you open up yourself, be more aware, and let the love in. Shut out the 21st century. It's very difficult, I know, but we can do it, right? And be an angel, right, for a day. And do you know what you do on that? Basically, you just, instead of following the rules, say, I'm sorry, I broke your rules. I was following my intuition. And that may mean just letting something slide by. That's it for today. Bye.